Cameo.
Yay, yay.
I'm Brad Reed. It is the Nerds to Men podcast right here. We're recording it on Facebook Live, so if you're listening to this later on, you ought to really follow us on Facebook, and then that way you can be part of the audience. You can comment. And if you are watching it right now, share with everyone.
Share it. Hit the share button. Wherever the share button is on the screen for you.
We got a lot of good stuff coming up today.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Avengers. We couldn't really talk a whole lot last week because
it was opening weekend.
It was opening weekend, and then of course Gog hadn't seen it yet, which to this date he still hasn't seen it.
What?
So yeah, Gog got suspended. Because he gave away a spoiler last week.
Come on, brah.
Yeah. I won't tell you which one in case you haven't seen it yet. But when we talk about Avengers here pretty soon, we are going to throw this little thing up. It says spoilers. So you'll be pretty well warned. And we're going to do a lot of spoilers today. I mean, I don't know how many spoilers, but I want to be able to talk about it without worrying about giving us something away.
All right, yeah.
So we're going to do that. We got interviews. Yesterday was Free Comic Book Day. And, of course, we have New World Comics up here in Oklahoma City that we're all a big fan of and we like to go to. So we went there, and I caught up with Vinton Bain, who's he's got a podcast, the Excelsior Podcast. And I also talked to Jerry Bennett, who's a comic book artist. You've seen him on our shows before.
And he also, you can kind of barely see it, but this drawing of the incredibly chubby Bulk.
Yeah, he did that. He did that. So we got that coming up. Also, we're going to talk a little bit. We got Cam's Jams, hip hop, pop music, all that. And we talked about Kanye West last week.
Which that has not died down. So we're going to be talking about
no, in fact, you're Mr. TMZ, and he went on TMZ. Like, I think it was like the day I posted our podcast, he went on TMZ, and there are some people who are defending what he says. There are some people who are outraged, and we'll get to that a little bit later. Also, we got an interview that you talked to Rob Paulsen.
Yes.
And he was the voice of Raphael and Donatello on two different versions of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yep. Raphael on the early 90s, and then Donatello on the 2012 CG on Nickelodeon Ninja Turtles.
And he was also, this is what I think is the coolest, he was Pinky on, Pinky and the Brain on Animaniacs.
Yeah. And he was Yakko, the Animaniac. So.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
sweet.
So he was the lead actor, or the lead voice actor for the Animaniacs, the oldest brother, or eldest brother, however you want to say it. Yakko, so.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, and this is the thing, you may have heard it because you originally had this interview on Wild on your radio station, but this one is unedited, so you'll get the full interview with him. Was there any times that he cursed, or was there anything we should have cut? I can't remember because I kind of had just a few minutes to put it together. But
no. He very, very chill, very.
That's just
very kind,
an epic interview. Then
yeah, the two people that I have looked up to growing up.
Yeah.
Which I didn't realize Rob Paulsen was going to be that person.
Totally.
But now knowing how he voiced almost every single character that I love on TV.
Yeah, definitely.
But him and Kevin Eastman, man, like they love to talk.
Right.
And that's in a good way. Like,
that's cool. That is good because, we've all had interviews where the person we were interviewing, there's things you can do to ask certain questions or whatever, but it's like some people they just don't have nothing to say. Grammatically that was horrible. They don't have anything to say, but they really, they don't. It's like some people just kind of struggle to talk about things, and so a 30-minute interview, that's nice. Ramiz Swice, thank you for joining us. Everybody watching on Facebook Live, Samuel Forrest Francis. He helps me out with the Jack and Ron show a lot. And we're going to talk about, did you get any comic books from New World Comics on Free Comic Book Day?
Yeah. I got the Avengers one, the Amazing Spider-Man one, and I also got what was it? Power Rangers, Shattered Dimension.
Uh-huh.
I love that one.
Yeah.
I want to start reading that one.
All right. Let's see. I know there was Avengers. I don't think I got. And actually, you're only supposed to get 3, and 3 of these are forests, so they were just in my bag. But this one, The Tick, that was pretty sweet.
Was that good? Have you read it yet?
Not yet. I haven't had a chance to read anything, but I was like, these are sweet. Adventure Time. That one came out. Did you see that one?
Yeah, I saw that one.
Here's one that I thought you would probably dig. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I don't think that's how you sing that song, but
This. Oh, Shattered Grid. That's what it is. That was pretty good.
Bob's Burgers, and I don't know. I'm not sure if that one's. Could a kid read this one or because the show's kind of grown up, right?
Yeah.
And then you said The Amazing Spider-Man and Star Wars. Now this year they had a whole lot of them that were just for free comic book day. Because I remember before, there was a few, but there was a bunch. Hey, Jerry Bennett, he's watching. We got an interview with you coming up very shortly.
Yeah, we do.
And then this was one. This was one I've been wanting to check out, and it was. They had the sales. They had the free comic books and then 20% off. So I had to pick this one up. And Jerry Bennett says the Spider-Man was fun. So this is the Joker, and we're going to talk a lot about the Joker coming up pretty soon. When we talk about Gotham.
Real quick though, I'm looking at some of this art.
Yeah.
In here, and it kind of looks like a cross between the 67 Batman Joker and Heath Ledger's Joker.
Really?
Yeah, that's what it kind of looks like.
Oh,
see?
yeah. Yeah, I could see a little Caesar Romero in that.
Caesar Romero, that's who it is.
Yeah, here, let's, yeah, there you go. Yeah, and Heath Ledger, I could see that. So, yeah, that's what we're nerding out on today. Let's talk about Avengers then.
Okay.
And let me hit the spoiler sign.
Wait. Before we hit the spoiler sign, you know how much money it's made in its first 11 days?
I know that it is the fastest to like $1 billion.
Yes. In 11 days, y'all.
Than any other movie, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So in 1 week, in 11 days, it has hit over $1 billion.
That's crazy.
And that was on Friday. No, Thursday or Friday. I can't remember. But, yeah. Can you believe that?
Not really. When I heard it, I was thinking, oh, that sounds cool. But then I was like, wait, $1 billion.
And it kind of almost seems like the movie hasn't even been out that long. When I heard 11 days, I'm like, man, it's already been 11 days since it's been out.
Yeah.
It's not even been 2 weeks yet.
Yeah.
And some movies don't even make it to $1 billion in, a month. I think Disney's Jungle Book made it to $1 billion. I think like 2 months, 2 or 3 months. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But in less than 2 weeks, that's crazy.
That is crazy.
That's crazy.
I can't believe it. I mean, I can because, like I say, this is there was nothing at all. I don't think anybody could say bad about this movie. It was a great movie. It was exciting. The combination of, or the culmination really of all the movies and the styles. I wonder how much James Gunn was consulted for the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff, because when we first see Star-Lord in the Avengers, should I go ahead and turn on the? I mean, just in case. Let's turn on the spoiler sign.
Yeah. Okay.
Just in case. So, but when we first see Star-Lord, they play the music that was appropriate for what you would hear, and so I just wonder, how much did they talk to him about stuff like that? Vinton, I believe, was telling me about an Easter egg. Okay. So, and it was something that when I saw the movie, I was kind of looking for this, but I'm not that great about spotting the Easter eggs.
Okay.
But I was kind of curious because, in Civil War, the guys who directed this, they had something to do with the show Arrested Development.
Right.
I know they were either producers or directors, something like that.
They used the stair ladder for the plane or whatever?
No, they used the in the show, the Blooms have an airplane stair truck.
Oh, okay.
But they drive it that's their truck to drive. and so it was in the airport during the Civil War fight. At the airport.
Okay.
So I was kind of curious about that, and if they were going to have anything more like that. And so apparently Vinton said, did you watch Arrested Development?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. One of the characters, I believe, I can't remember his name, but he was played by David Cross. And he was like the never nude. He always wore the jean shorts. But he also wanted to be one of the Blue Men group.
Oh, I heard about that Easter egg. Yeah.
And so I guess he's laying in one of those tubes. Because that's what I was like, maybe we'll see Howard the Duck or something like that. And I couldn't spot, but he said he's in one of the tubes.
Oh, okay.
So that's pretty funny. Jerry Bennett says that Gunn was a producer on this movie too. So, and that makes sense that they would give producing credits to some of these guys because they need their input.
Right.
I would think. But yeah, man, like I said, with Avengers, I really liked how the things that I loved about Thor Ragnarok and Guardians of the Galaxy and all the other movies, like you saw little bits of that in this movie.
Yeah, and I think it was. I can't remember if it was. I don't think it was Rolling Stone. It might have been the New York Times or something. They gave it a horrible review.
Oh yeah,
and people were not happy about their review. And everybody has their own opinion about
True.
about
I mean,
the movie.
and there's a lot of film critics who are probably not going to give a superhero movie much of a chance anyway.
Right.
Because they're looking for like auteur movies by Wes Anderson.
Yeah. Yeah. And but I mean I forgot where I was going with that. But
just that they gave it a bad review and everybody was mad about it.
Yeah. So it's just like, because they were saying that it was like too much stuff going on, which technically there was, but hey, the title says Infinity War.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a war. A lot of stuff is going to be going on.
Yeah.
But it wasn't to the point where, and I'm going to throw DC under the bus here for a second.
Yeah.
So Batman versus Superman. I'm going to go back to that. Too much stuff going on for no reason at all.
Right.
You had a fight between Batman and Superman, Superman and Lex Luthor, Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman against Doomsday. So it was just like all the stuff was going on, but everything in Avengers Infinity War followed a line, and it was like, okay, so we're going to go to out in space first, deal with what happened to Thor at the end of the end credits scene of Ragnarok. Boom. Okay, we got that storyline set. Okay, well, what connected with the space? Hulk to New York City to the Doctor Strange's house.
Right.
Then okay, boom. We go to I forgot. Was it the Guardians?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah.
It was the Guardians. Okay, what connected with the Guardians? Thor.
Right.
Bam,
right.
hit the windshield, and then and so forth. If you've seen the movie, you know how it all played out. But it was every scene had a beginning, middle, and end.
Right.
And that's where I think Batman versus Superman kind of got messed up because it didn't have a beginning, middle, end. It was each scene was like, okay, here's this, and here's this.
But see, I have less of a problem with Batman versus Superman than I do Justice League. Because to me, again, I know I've said this a lot, but Batman versus Superman, there was a great Batman movie inside of that. But with Justice League, that one was like just all over the place.
Yeah.
Or even like, I think we kind of mentioned this before with the X-Men Apocalypse. I would say those two, if you were going to compare movies, you could compare because you had a huge cast that you wanted to get a bunch of storylines in. But however, they didn't do it right either.
No, they didn't.
I liked how, in this movie, and again, spoilers, but in this movie, Thor didn't even show up for the main battle till the end,
Yeah.
So they had all these different stories, but they had them separate, and I think that kept it from being too like a much of a hodgepodge or something, where.
And I think that's what the New York Times or whatever paper gave it a horrible review, but yeah, like I thought like every scene kind of could have been an end credit scene of a Marvel movie because that's how quick, to me anyway, that's how quick the scenes were going, and it was just like, oh, okay, cool. So everything is wrapping up, tying in together, and it kind of reminded me of the season finale of, oh my lord, the dude Walter White.
Breaking Bad?
Yeah. Because you saw how everything, those like short little scenes at the beginning of the show,
Yeah.
how they all tied in together. That's how I kind of felt like, Avengers: Infinity War was. Like
Right.
every little scene had a, beginning, middle, end, a tie into the next scene, begin,
Yeah.
middle, end, tied to the next scene, and so forth.
Let's talk about the villain of Avengers for just a moment, Thanos. I was driving down the highway the other day, and driving down the highway in Oklahoma always makes me think that Thanos had a point. I want to say, though, because I think that it's a close race between Black Panther and Avengers. I almost think, though, that Thanos is the best villain that they have had so far, and that's by not a long shot compared to Black Panther, but a long shot compared to everyone that's come before. I mean, there were some good villains in there, but Thanos, you really kind of, and same thing with Black Panther, you really kind of almost see where Thanos is coming from. He thinks that it's merciful to do it the way he's doing it. He doesn't base it on race or religion or, whatever.
What kind
gender.
of hierarchy?
It doesn't even matter. It's just half of the population, boom. And he, maybe he has a point. It's funny because it's almost like he's playing God because God, and not to get too deep, but if you believe in like God and stuff like that, then God has some say in whether we live or die. and Thanos wanted to have that say.
Yeah, he had a God
but
complex.
he didn't want to, in his mind, he wasn't torturing people. And even though he kidnapped Gamora, and even you saw later, he had to sacrifice her in order to get the stone. And it had to be somebody or something that he truly loved. And she was like, she couldn't believe it because she was like, this isn't love.
Yeah.
You've kidnapped me. But he really did love her.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it kind of, whenever he first met her, he was like, you have a lot of fire in you.
Yeah.
Or did he say fire or fight?
Fight.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I think, since he has, his little God complex, I wouldn't say little, but, his God complex, then, obviously he's going to like somebody that's on his same level.
Yeah.
So I kind of see why he was attached to her and, end up, being sad that he had to throw her off a cliff.
Yeah. Yeah. But, I guess you could say that Thanos, he's not right. Even if he loves her, it's not the right kind of love. It's not a love. It's a love like how I love maybe my computer. Let's just say. I love that computer, but only because this computer does something for me.
Right.
I don't love it out of just the goodness of love.
But you would cry if someone threw it off a cliff, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I would cry. And I would expect some sort of infinity stone as payment. So that would hurt my feelings a lot. Let's see. I thought the way they filmed it, it looked great. There's so much CGI in this movie, but it was one of those things where the CGI looked good. It didn't bother me.
Yeah.
I feel like even some of the children of Thanos, you could almost see how they would be in a Star Wars universe too.
Yeah.
So is Star Wars ever going to intersect with Marvel's Disney's Avengers?
I would love to see that happen. And
like kind of how we saw E.T. in the old, in the not the old, but the middle, I guess, Star Wars movies.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of cool because, watching Doctor Strange, he was talking about how there's a multiverse,
right?
So that could, obviously open up everything to Star Wars, to X-Men, to Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm kind of excited to see where where it'll go.
Yeah, if they ever,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean,
some people probably would cry big foul on that.
they would, and I could see why, because they're two separate things. But again, Disney owns both titles, and if you read the comics, Star Wars is also owned by Marvel.
What if they brought in Chewbacca to fight Thanos?
I mean, that'd be awesome. That would be pretty cool. That would be.
Who would
cool.
win? I think Chewbacca. Yeah, he beat that ass.
Chewbacca, for sure. Chewbacca. Oh, my goodness.
Okay, let's talk about one more thing, I think, and then we'll kind of, get off of Avengers. But, going into the movie, we all had, like, our ideas and thoughts of who was going to die. Mm-hmm. And hopefully, again, spoilers. Man, I was totally shocked. And I think they did it perfectly because we had no idea.
Yeah, and
I know it happens a certain way in the book.
Yeah.
But man.
Well, and you also got to look at it too. Everybody was coming out with their theories. Now, I kind of want to know if they did a couple of takes of different scenes, because if you see in the movie, several people withered away. Mm-hmm. Now, I wonder if that there was like a first cut. Was, a certain amount of people, maybe one, maybe two, did they all pass away? Or was it that, none of them passed away, but the ones that didn't pass away in the original film, if the other ones did?
Right.
So, like, they swap.
Right.
So, I kind of want to know, what all was...
Yeah.
If anything was changed or made changes too, because everybody was coming out, oh, I know who's going to die.
Yeah. Well, and I mentioned, we're going to play this pretty quick. I talked to Vinton too about how much of the comic book did go along with the movie. Because even just reading it, because I did start to read Infinity Gauntlet the other day, now that I've seen it. And there was some things like right off the bat that I was like, oh, that was in the movie, but it was a different character. And so... yeah, we'll get to that here in just pretty quick, actually. But
and there's another thing too. One of my friends posted. Actually, it was Christine. She posted a picture of. It was in the trailer. You know how you saw Hulk running, Black Panther, Okoye, Captain America, Winter Soldier, War Machine, all them running down the plane, right? Mm-hmm. Well, that wasn't in the movie. And I think the way that they did their trailers for this movie gave away absolutely nothing.
Yes.
That was amazing.
That's what I love. I do a podcast about Westworld called Jest World. And we've been talking a little bit about that with this season because they released a trailer. The first one, I believe, came out at Super Bowl weekend or around there anyway. And then they had the Super Bowl trailer. But... they had a lot of cool scenes in that trailer, but then you saw them in the first couple of episodes because we've only had 2 episodes so far. And one of the things I was telling Chip was these scenes would have been so impactful had I not seen them in the trailer.
Yeah.
But Avengers was great about that. And I'm almost thinking about swearing off trailers from now on because Westworld, like I say, that's the show that you don't want. You want to be surprised because it's such a mystery. And there wasn't a lot of mystery with Avengers other than who was going to die, and they blew our minds.
Yeah, they did. And speaking of trailers and giving away too much stuff away from the movie, there's a new movie coming out called Tag. It has Dave Helms, Jeremy Renner, I think John Hamm, the guy that dated Jess or Zooey Deschanel in New Girl, he's in it. Hannibal Buress is in it, and it's these group of friends that have played tag for the past 35 years.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Have you seen it?
I've seen the previews. Okay. Yeah.
Well, Jeremy Renner is the only guy that has never been tagged ever.
Yes. And it's a true story.
Yeah, it's a true story. But every scene in that or in that trailer, I think is in what could be possibly in the movie. But those were if there's any more funnier scenes than that, then I'm just like, oh, this movie, you have to go check out the trailer for that. It's hilarious.
Speaking to Jeremy Renner, I was reading something online maybe this morning or yesterday saying. A lot of people are speculating because he didn't show up as Hawkeye that they're gonna when he does show up, he'll be Ronin.
Okay.
What do you think about that? Are you familiar with Ronin?
I'm not familiar with it, but I did see some like fan art, and like I guess he changed his hair. So
and I think he wears a mask. Ronin does. Yeah.
yeah. So like I'm kind of excited about seeing
They can't
that.
see. I that was the people that or the person that we kind of picked. Maybe he was going to be the one to die, and then he wasn't even in it.
Right.
Which is great because I don't want them to kill off Hawkeye in the movies because I want to see a real Old Man Logan movie, and I want Hawkeye to be in it.
That'd be so amazing.
I guess it might not be Jeremy Renner, but
Yeah.
you know who might be a good old man Hawkeye?
Who?
Ed Harris, who
plays William in Westworld.
yeah,
that'd
the
be kind
old
of cool.
I saw another movie with him on Netflix.
Kodachrome.
Yes,
That's
with
a pretty good movie.
Jason Sudeikis.
Yeah,
I want
Jason
to watch
Sudeikis.
it.
I could not remember his name for the longest.
I wanted to watch it because I love those guys, but it looked like it was kind of like it wasn't going to be funny. It looked like it was going to kind of a melancholy type movie.
And to tie in Kodachrome with Avengers, Elizabeth Olsen is in the movie.
That's right.
Yeah.
She's in a movie with Josh Brolin, who plays Thanos. It's called Oh Boy. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen that.
It was a remake. I can't remember if it was Korean or Asian somehow. I don't remember which country it
For
Japanese or
What?
Old Boy was the name of it.
Country for
Oh yeah, no. But they were in it. But yeah, I won't tell you too much about it. It's a good movie, but there's kind of like some cringeworthy stuff that goes on.
Okay.
So let's do our segment called Plugged In with Brad Reed. I call it Plugged In, like hey, I'm plugged into the local stuff that's going on. This week I went to Free Comic Book Day, as did you. It's just we had to go at 2 different times.
Yeah, because work schedule for me.
Yeah.
Oh, hate work.
And so I went and I talked with. First, I talked with Buck, and I aired that yesterday because we were talking about everything that was going on yesterday. So I didn't want to run it today. But I did run into Vinton. He has the Excelsior podcast, and Jerry Bennett, who's a comic book artist, and we kind of talked about the Avengers movies and just a bunch of different stuff. So here's Plugged In featuring Vinton and Jerry. I'd read Nerds to Men. I'm with Vinton, who is my podcast buddy here in Oklahoma City. Tell everybody some of the podcasts that they can find you on.
Okay, so yeah, I have done a number of podcasts, most notably the Hamilton, the musical podcast, the Read Brave Comics podcast. Currently, I'm only doing the Excelsior Comics podcast, which is where we just critically examine comics for their story and just have a lot of fun, make a lot of jokes.
Yeah, I've seen that one's still going, and a lot of people, man, like on Twitter and stuff, they love your podcast.
Yeah, they sure do.
And that's great. I love it. Hopefully we don't give anything away. We won't do too many spoilers, but I want to ask you about the Avengers movie because I know you've probably seen it for your podcast. Yeah. And have you released a podcast where you've talked about it yet?
Yeah, on the Excelsior podcast, we released a full episode.
Okay, so if you want his full thoughts on it and spoilers and stuff.
Oh, yeah, I think 3 minutes without spoilers, and then the rest of it is full-on spoiler.
So do that. And where can they follow you?
They can follow me on Twitter at FleshEater and for the podcast at ExcelsiorCast.
Okay, but anyway, just for what we're doing here, I just kind of want to get your general thoughts on the Avengers movie.
Yeah, so I think that they did a really fantastic job this time around. Something they've done with all the Avengers movies so far, but really had to step up their game here because they have so many different varieties of superhero films now in this new phase, and they had to meld all of that together with the humor and the drama and the heaviness and the weightiness of this particular film, and they did such a fantastic job with that, especially with the music and the lighting, just the way that they took all the tones of those different films and made it into one cohesive film. And one of the cool things that they did this time around was really focusing on the villain, which they've had a plague of bad villains in the past. It's been one of the biggest criticisms of the MCU, and here they said, let's just make the movie about the villain and really make him as fleshed out as possible, and I think they really nailed it this time. Yeah,
I thought they kind of did a better job with the villain in Black Panther, and I think even more so in this one, because Thanos, I was talking about this earlier, but Thanos is one of the, you don't agree with what he's doing necessarily, but when you're driving down the road on the highway, you might be like, Thanos was right.
yeah, just a little bit. I think the past 3 Marvel movies have been some of the best villains that we've seen: Homecoming, Ragnarok, and Black Panther. And here they're just stepping up their game and making it centralized on Thanos and giving you a bit of his understanding, a bit of the picture from his side of the thing, so you can really understand what he's doing. And it's even a step above, I think, him in the comics, because in the comics he's just trying to impress Lady Death by killing everyone. Here he has a nice motivation that we can all kind of go, oh, but maybe he has a point a little bit.
Yeah. And, I have Infinity Gauntlet, and I was reading a little bit more. I didn't want to read it again so soon, or actually even recently, because I just wanted to see how the movie was going to go. But I picked it up again last night. I was reading it again, and there were some things that were different, like, even the beginning where, Hulk is thrown into Doctor Strange's house. It's Silver Surfer in the book, but how much of the book and the movie go together, did you think, percentage-wise?
Yeah, I'd say that, it's always kind of hard to say because they adapt a lot of things, like that moment with the Hulk instead of it being the Silver Surfer. So you could say that maybe that's like 50% because they did the thing but with a different person. And so I'd say that the film is probably about 30 or 40% Infinity Gauntlet, 15 or 20% the series Infinity, where the Black Order's introduced, and the rest of it is really just taking from what they've already done in the MCU and trying to find ways to make it all work together with that.
Right on. Okay, any of the comic books here today that you're super excited about?
Oh, man. So I haven't had a chance to pick up too many of the free comic book stuff, so I'm not really sure what's there aside from just seeing the cool covers. We got a Tank Girl. We got all the normal Marvel, DC stuff. There's always just really cool little gems to be found. But as far as like the stuff that we're actually selling today, some of the best ones that I'm trying to get everyone to buy are the new Silver Surfer by Slott and Allred, which is basically 60s Star Trek Doctor Who in space with the Silver Surfer. And then the new Thor, which is has the female Thor, which is really cool, and all new Wolverine, which is Laura Kinney Wolverine as a legacy title, picking up where Logan left off when he died.
I really like that one. That's a really good one. So a good recommendation there. What movie are you most excited about coming out in the near future?
Oh man, the next Avengers movie.
Definitely.
I know we got like 3 or 4 movies, big ones coming out before then, but I can't stop thinking about it now.
Yeah. Okay, so there's Deadpool 2 in the near future, Ant-Man and Wasp, and Han Solo. If you had to pick just the one, if you only could go to one, what would it be?
Oh man, I want to say Ant-Man and the Wasp because I'm such a huge Marvel fan, but that latest Solo trailer actually looks really good. It's really surprised me because I didn't think I'd care about this movie, but I do care about it.
I do. I'm looking forward to that one the most, I think, as of right now anyway.
The cool thing about the Deadpool movie is they're introducing X-Force, and a lot of what I loved about X-Force from the Allred run of X-Force. So I'm really interested to see what they're going to do with that, and that could turn out to be like my sleeper hit of the year because Deadpool's fun for what it is, but it's not like a real serious cool movie that's going to touch my heart a lot. But this one actually I think it's going to reach out to the fanboy in me a lot.
Very nice. One more question, because if you've listened to our podcast, Vinton's come on and we've done like a horror movie, sci-fi special. We've had Vinton on for a lot of things, but I want to ask, have you seen any great horror movies lately?
Oh man, have I seen any good great horror movies? I'm sure I have. I'm kind of drawing a blank though. What's been the biggest ones that have come out this past year?
So I didn't get to see it yet, but A Quiet Place has been out recently, and that's the one I want to see the most.
That's the one I want to see the most too. I've seen the trailer. I haven't gone out to see that one yet, but I've heard such amazing things. It looks fantastic. I love John Krasinski from The Office, but this is a whole new John Krasinski, and I'm really interested to see what he could do with this. Speaking of comic book things, he was almost Captain America at one time.
Really?
Yeah, he was trying out for it, and there were some discussions. I don't know how that would have gone, but I'm really loving this new dramatic side of his acting.
Very nice. Sounds like a mandate for me and Vinton to go see A Quiet Place.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And tell everybody again your podcast, where to follow you, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so it's the Excelsior podcast, just like Stan Lee says in the Marvel Comics. We're on Twitter at ExcelsiorCast. I'm on Twitter at Fleshier. You can find the podcast on iTunes, YouTube, pretty much anywhere, and at commonroomradio.com.
Thank you. All right, we're here at Free Comic Book Day with Jerry Bennett. Of course, you probably know Jerry if you listen to the show or you hang out around New World Comics at all. But what's been going on with you lately, man?
Oh, man, I've been doing just a bunch of stuff. I just got to do some storyboards for Trolls DreamWorks.
Oh, yeah.
Some little stop-motion animated shorts that are being done by a local film team here. And so had fun with that. I just got to do a new comic for the new issue of Oki Comics that just came out.
Oh yeah, I've been seeing those. Is that out yet or?
Actually, it's in the store now, so you can get it. It's like probably my favorite story I've ever done so far.
Okay, so I've seen that. Tell me a little bit about the Oki Comics, what the concept is behind that.
Okay, well, Jeff Provine, he's a writer and he's a teacher at OU.
Right.
He had this vision for doing a Gazette-type magazine, ads-driven, that contains Oklahoma-centric stories done exclusively by Oklahoma writers and artists.
That's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
what was yours about?
Well, the first one actually was a cool, weird Western involving dinosaurs. And then this one is called Oklahoma Kaiju. And I'll just let you be surprised.
I like it, but it's based on Oklahoma, I guess, but it's
Yeah, no. It's like there's like lore and urban legends, and there's some like based on true life stories too. So like in fact he just was telling me about a lot of great nonfiction stories, based on real experiences and real happenings, and so it's just all over the gamut.
And you're out here doing some sketches and stuff for people.
Yep. We as soon as we opened, we're doing free sketches for everybody. It's a crazy line right now, but yeah, I'll be here till 3:00 doing more free sketches for everybody.
Okay, sweet. So you won't be here till 9 a.m. in the morning, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, that whole 24-hour drawing thing doesn't work out.
That would get exhausting, wouldn't it?
Well, if you don't mind a zombie drawing your stuff, yeah.
So, but right now, I guess the kids or whoever comes up and they give you an idea of what they want, character and.
Yeah, they just tell me. Had a friend ask for like Deadpool offering condolences for someone who had surgery in the hospital for real, and so I did like a bouquet of knives and dynamite and guns.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Maybe he should be doing condolences for the Marvel Avengers. You know what I mean? Spoilers.
Well, I think that should be condolences for the DC universe, obviously.
Ooh, burn. So have you been keeping up with all the DC Rebirth and stuff?
I a little bit. Now that one of my favorite writers went over to DC, I'm going to be reading a lot more Superman now. So
Who was it?
Brian Michael Bendis, he was legendary at Marvel, and now he's working his chops over there at DC, and so I'm so excited for that.
That's cool. So are you still doing like weren't you doing some stuff through Marvel and Star Wars and stuff like that?
Yeah. In fact, I'm working on sketch cards, like the original blank sketch cards that will be randomly inserted into trading card packs, the original art. So it's really fun. So I've done some X-Men trading card sets, Star Wars, Walking Dead, Outlander, if you can believe that. And now I'm working on another Marvel set. And so, yeah, been a lot of fun.
Well, you got a big, huge line over here, so we'll let you get back to that. But tell everybody how they can follow you and keep up to date with everything that's going on with you.
Absolutely. Well, Instagram is the one where I'm really posting, and that is artist Jerry Bennett with 2 T's. And then, of course, I have a Twitter, Comic Book Jer, and a Facebook fan page, which is basically just Instagram that's posting to Facebook.
So you spell artist with 2 T's? Jerry Bennett with 2 T's. All right, thank you, man. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
What's this? Is this money?
It's
Slid
gum.
me some money.
You need gum.
Yeah.
I just
Great.
say it out
Thanks.
loud.
I think the man who needed it got it.
Stop it.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you.
Oh, I love Jerry Bennett.
Jerry is awesome. Man.
He is awesome. Jerry, if people didn't know, I mean, people who listen to the show probably do, but Jerry and me used to be roommates, and we went to church together back in the day. Jerry's just you could tell by the gray in his beard compared to the gray in mine. He's a little older. But, like, I always looked up to Jerry. I always thought he was the coolest dude. And, he wanted to be an artist and a comic book artist way back then. And to be honest, I didn't know if he'd ever do it because I just never knew anybody who, like, became a comic book artist or even did anything like that.
Yeah.
And so I thought, good luck with that, And he's actually done it.
Yeah,
He's done a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I was messing with him when I saw him that morning, and I was like, man, I haven't seen you in forever.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah. And I was like, you're all big time now. Like, you don't have time for us small folks anymore.
Yeah.
But Jerry,
he is big time, though.
No, Jerry is awesome though. He's actually doing a commission for me, and
A Ninja Turtles?
no.
I saw one. Go to his Instagram, because I saw one that he posted, and it looked really, really good. He said, Jerry, I was wondering if he was still tuned in. Jerry said, love you guys, and the gray was from being your roommate. And he ain't lying.
Jerry told me that you did some bad things.
So Randy Danks, thank you for tuning in. Emmanuel Rivera, the Punisher.
AKA El Punisher.
El Punisher. Yeah, thank you. And I got to say that the Plugged In was brought to you by our friends at Cadell and Company. They are fourth generation builders. They've been doing construction, like commercial construction, for the last 20 years, and now they're doing residential construction here in Oklahoma City. They've got a showroom down in Norman, and if you go to their Facebook page, if you're watching this, I've got it posted up here at the top of the screen. It's at Cadell and Company, and you can check out some of their pictures of the showroom, some of their materials, and some of the different stuff like the carpets, the floors, the what do you call it? Like the cabinets, the countertops, all of it. And they've done all kinds of stuff down at the Norman OU campus, and you should check it all out at Cadell and Company. Give them a call, 405-928-5026. And here's the biggest part. If you mention Nerdz to Men, you get 10% off the materials. So Cadell and Company. All right. Cameo, what do we got coming up next?
Oh, snap.
Oh, Donald Glover.
Yeah.
Okay, so, man, here's the deal. We can talk about this because you probably know enough about Donald Glover to have this conversation, but he was on Saturday Night Live last night, and I know you didn't get to watch it yet, but, man, he was amazing. He was hilarious. Mm-hmm. His music was really good. His performance was off the chart.
So he was a musical guest, too?
Yeah.
Okay,
it was hosted by Donald Glover, and the musical guest was Childish Gambino, which tell me, because I thought he was not doing Childish Gambino anymore.
That's just what, like, he's not going to be making any more music, supposedly. Mm-hmm. That was, like, a rumor back, I think, last year.
Oh, okay.
And I can't remember what the reason why he wasn't going to do music anymore, but I'm pretty sure if they asked him to, like, do a few songs at I don't know, a show or something, he'll probably do it.
Right. So check that out on Saturday Night Live because he was great. One of the things he was talking about was the fact that he had auditioned for Saturday Night Live at least 2 times. Mm-hmm. And now he comes back and he's the host. And there's a few things that stuck out to me about that, which is, I'm sure if I were to try out for Saturday Night Live and get denied twice, I probably feel pretty bad about myself. Mm-hmm. But he didn't. No. He's doing all these shows.
He's got a Emmy for Atlanta. Is it an Emmy?
Atlanta, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean,
that's
why
he's
they asked him
everywhere doing all kinds of stuff. Yeah, he's in movies. He was in Spider-Man.
Yep.
He just had a little part there, but you see him in a lot of stuff now, and I think probably if he had got on Saturday Night Live, he might not be able to do all this stuff.
Right.
He might not be able to make the music and do all the stuff because he'd be doing Saturday Night Live. So it may have even worked out best for him. So it's kind of a lesson on how sometimes if things don't go right, think about this. I don't know. One of my dreams was always to be on Saturday Night Live. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I'd rather host it or be on it. But
host it.
Yeah, because if you host it, you just got to show up for a week.
Yeah.
Have a great time.
Right.
Do it. And then you go on about your business.
Yeah, because I heard that being on SNL, if you're a regular on the show, it's like hard work.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like you got to come up with sketches like every single week, and sometimes they might not even get picked.
Yeah, and if you don't, how long do you get to stay on there?
Right, and we've seen how many people.
And it all depends too, because the host. I think the host kind of determines, like, you might not see a lot of Kyle Mooney if you don't have a host who's got, like, kind of a weird sense of humor or something like that. But Donald Glover was on Saturday Night Live last night. It's on Hulu if you haven't seen it yet, and I recommend watching it and a lot of times I will watch, I think when, who was on it last? Cardi B, I think, is. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah, which was funny. She ended up being funnier than I thought because she was just on it for like a second, as far as being like there was a skit,
Oh,
but
okay.
then she did the music. And a lot of times during Saturday Night Live, I'll watch it and then I'll kind of skip through the music because I don't care. But
Yeah.
he put on some great. I couldn't tell you the 2 songs he did, but they were the performance was amazing. You'll love it.
Okay.
You'll love it, and so I highly recommend. A lot of people, they watch Saturday Night Live and they're like, "Meh, Saturday Night Live, it's not that good anymore." I watch every episode, so. But one of the things that happened, and that kind of leads us into our next segment, was he did this awesome, like it was a digital short or whatever, but instead of A Quiet Place, it was a Kanye Place. And so every time like anybody said anything that like maybe like Kanye's been saying in the last week, like something snatched them and took them off somewhere. and yeah, so that brings us to Cam's Jams, which is
man.
it's not like it sounds like a fruity delicious spread that you put on your sandwich. And maybe it is.
It could be.
Yeah.
I might need to look into some marketing.
But
for that.
really, it's because Mr. TMZ over here.
I don't think that's TMZ.
That's what I call. You're the only person I know that's on TMZ. But you go on there, you talk about hip hop and pop and whatever's going on in the culture. And so I was like, we should take advantage of that.
Might as well.
Yeah. So Cam's Jams, lay it on me, because Kanye West went on TMZ and said some stuff that people are kind of divided about.
Oh man, so yeah, he went on to TMZ first talking about how he was addicted to opioids, which Kanye West, being addicted to drugs is a choice. Just like he said, being a slave for 400 years was a choice.
So are you saying that he was right then?
No, I'm
Okay.
just saying how stupid that is.
Okay, I got you. I got you. Because
addiction is real.
Yes, and you make the choice, I guess, at some point, but we don't know what leads to that choice. Some people could be trying to cover up pain, in their mind or physical. And listen, I'm not going to make excuses for doing opiates and opioids because, that it's not good to abuse anything.
Right.
But, even there's probably a lot of people addicted to opioids who started off because they had a legitimate prescription or whatever.
Right. And when you get addicted to something, it's especially like if you are not a drug addict, but, you got hooked on, your pain prescription drugs. And, not making fun of it at all, because I've known people that have got addicted to, their prescription drugs.
Right.
So it's just like, that's real just as much as slavery was real. And one of his boys, Kanye West boys, Malik Youssef, was saying that he was like, he was hurt by what he said, but he was basically saying that, he didn't have enough time to formulate his words to where for all of us to get what he was saying.
Right.
And but basically what Malik Youssef was saying was that there was enough of slaves to throw a revolt. But then again, you can look at it this way. Yeah, there was probably more slaves than to the slave owners on, their plantation or whatever. But granted, you got to look at this. Slaves couldn't read. They couldn't write. Wherever
Could they read
went,
a map? Did they know where to go?
Exactly. Did
I
they
mean,
have a map?
I'm just asking.
No,
I don't know.
I'm just, we don't know all of that.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I mean, like, come on now. You got to think the bigger picture. Yeah, they could have thrown a revolt, but what were they going to do? Because
Yeah.
if they could have gone to the north, yeah, for sure. But black people in the north, no, they weren't slaves, but they were also looked down upon too. So it's just like, it was a lose-lose situation.
Right.
So it wasn't a choice because, I mean, if they were armed and whatnot, then of course, yeah, shoot them up, have a civil war on your plantation. But that's not I don't get why Malik Youssef said that. I don't get why Kanye West said that. And one of my boys, I call him my boy. He's really not, but I like him. His name is Van, and he went in on TMZ.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he was like, just telling Kanye West, he was like, you have a platform, you got to be responsible with what you say, and you got to say what you mean. He didn't say that, but I mean, that's kind of the gist of what he was saying. But he's like, you got to say what you mean and mean what you say, because he lives on the mountaintop.
Right.
And he was like, and he was like, and you worked hard to get there. But for me and for the rest of people that are not in your mindset, your mountaintop, we can't go outside and not be afraid trying to formulate that. We can't go outside and not be afraid to not get shot.
Yeah.
He can. Kanye West can.
Sure. It's
So
a little different for Kanye.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like Van, kind of went in on him talking about all that stuff. And yeah, like Kanye West is just so stinking dumb. like why? Like, just shut up.
Yeah. Some people, they are attributing to Kanye West is a genius. And so he's always acted bizarre because of his genius. But, I'd almost say, and I'm not saying Kanye's not a genius or anything like that. He's made some great music that I respect. Mm-hmm. I also think that Donald Glover's a genius.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The guy's so multi-talented, and he doesn't have to say crazy stuff.
Right.
And we're comparing apples to oranges because, they're two guys who rap for a living, even though Donald Glover doesn't do that as, exclusively as Kanye West does. But what I'm saying is it just, I don't know. I don't like saying, well, he's genius, so he can just say whatever crazy thing that comes off the top of his head. Christine Williams says there had been some that caused mass killings, and I think she means like revolts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to want to say one of the islands in
Virgin Islands, I'm going to assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Started from slaves that revolted. I need to fact check those two things, but it's not like it didn't happen. They also revolted in the ships and were thrown. So thrown over. Yeah. So and to be honest, I can't get into this argument too much because I need to know a lot more.
Especially because you're a colonizer.
Shut up. Me and you both make one colonizer. You know that, right? You know that. Because
we're a colonizer.
I don't think you could call a Native American a colonizer or whatever else I am. But half of me and half of you, we're one total colonizer. Or colonizer. But I'm just saying, like, I'd like to have a little bit more knowledge before I get into it too much.
Christine says Kanye wants the fame, Glover wants his art, and can't help to be famous as a result.
Yeah,
and you can definitely see Glover that way.
Yeah,
you see it when he's at the award shows, like you see him almost kind of standoffish. And, when you get to a certain level of fame, because wasn't he on 30 Rock or something?
Was it 30 Rock?
I can't remember. I know he was on
Community
Community. That's what it is. That's what it was. So, I mean, when he had a small role on that, and then, he has his, what he did on the side, his music, and then that got, a lot of traction. Then, obviously this didn't happen. Spider-Man came along and, his show came along and all this stuff. So it's just he wasn't here to, to mess around with the fame. Yeah, he got it, but because he was so successful in his art.
And what I was going to say too, back to that it was a choice thing. I don't think anybody chooses or wants to be a slave, for one. Right. But people in power use abuse and institutionalize people.
Right.
To where they don't know that they have an option, or they don't know what choices they do have.
You want to take that spoilers off? I just realized.
Oh. All of this has been spoilers. But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is they use these things. They beat you down and abuse you and gaslight you and all kinds of stuff so that you don't know what choices you do have.
Right.
You know?
And again, going back to the whole revolt thing, you can't, when you don't have, if you leave, like what Christine said, They revolted on the ships. If you didn't have enough people with that revolt and you didn't have those guns, of course you're gonna be thrown over the boat. Like,
Yeah.
and what you gonna do? Oh, Killmonger? You want to be thrown in the water?
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Yeah. No.
No, I'm good.
Yeah.
But see, I mean, yeah, everybody has a choice to do something, do good, do wrong, do right, do bad, whatever. But I mean, in the end of it all, I mean, everybody has a choice. But some things weren't a choice, like slavery.
Right.
It was just like,
Right.
okay, this is what you're doing. Either you do it or you're dead.
Yeah. And Christine says, Kanye has said in his music for years that he wants to be recognized. I just think we didn't realize at what cost he wanted it. So, I mean, she thinks that Kanye is just saying stuff to get attention. Is that where you feel he's coming from? Or do you think that he's nuts?
Oh, I think both.
Both. Yeah.
Because even when I think I forgot what show, or it might even been on TMZ still. Like after the whole interview thing, he was like, somebody asked him, "Were you upset about that?"
Yeah.
Because you got ridiculed about that, and he was like, "No." He was like, "I loved it."
Yeah.
He was like, "It caused talk."
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
So obviously he loves this negative attention because doesn't matter what kind of attention it is. If you got good or bad, you're still getting the attention,
Right.
and that's what he wants. And I think also, there's another thing too. There's a guy that he's working with, some artists. He does performance art, and people are thinking that's what Kanye West is doing.
Oh.
That this is one big performance art piece.
See, but then they would go back to saying he's such a genius.
No, because some of my friends and even Christine was talking about, I'm thinking about throwing away all my Kanye West albums.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. I could see if you felt that
and, I had to get rid of some of
betrayed
my
by what he's saying.
I had to get rid of some of my Kanye West songs off on my phone.
I don't know. You can't tell me nothing.
Right?
I mean, like I say, there was a time where I really liked Kanye.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into Gotham real
Okay.
quick because you didn't see the last episode, so
No.
we're just gonna kind of cruise through this unless we get some commenters going. Because I kind of thought that with it being just me and you for the show, this might be a quicker show, and we've been on an hour, so at least an hour total live on the Facebook. But with Gotham, we got to see the transition of the Jerome Joker and the Jeremiah Joker. Jeremiah played everyone. It was awesome. So, let me turn the spoilers back on. Spoilers for Gotham. And I won't spoil it for you. I just told you a little bit of it, but you're going to enjoy it. But the Joker that we see now isn't the first Joker. The Jeremiah, the Jeremiah. Wait, I'm totally confused now. There's Jeremiah.
Jerome. You talking about
Jerome? Yes.
Okay.
Jerome, his Joker was the classic Joker that I feel like. And then this one's, he's not unhinged yet, but he is. But he's very low key, I guess. And we got to see Harley Quinn finally.
What?
Yes. I mean, it has to be Harley Quinn. I showed you a picture of the little costume and everything. It was crazy. So I was like, that's awesome. I don't know that I like the Jeremiah Joker yet, but I do think that it's only a matter of time before he melds with the Jerome Joker and we get kind of more of the Joker. But I do want to ask you, do you know how many episodes are left in the season? Because there's not many.
I think
2, right?
there should be 1 or 2 left.
Yeah.
Because I think the one that Brian McKenzie directed was, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Brian McKenzie, he's Jim Gordon?
Jim Gordon, yeah.
It's Brian, Ben McKenzie.
Ben McKenzie.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm thinking of Brian Michael Bendis from when
Yeah, and you knew
Jeremy.
that right away, so
Yeah.
you must be a fan of him when Jerry
Man.
mentioned that.
He actually this Daredevil book that I was reading. I was about to say that I wrote. I didn't do that. And he wrote the comic book that I forgot. It was like Man Without Fear or something like that. But yeah, that was a good read. But yeah, Yeah, I think that was like episode 18. So I think that was 2 or 3 episodes ago. And I think each season has like 22, 23 episodes.
Oh, okay.
So unless, this is the last one, maybe they might go a little
I
bit
want
more.
to say
but-
maybe GOG had said a couple of episodes back that there was 3 after it came back. And so it just came back. It was off for like a week or 2. But,
Oh, okay.
So I think that there might, we'll have to look it up. But honestly, this whole storyline has been the best thing that Gotham has done yet. My buddy Jeff Roughface was asking me, where do I start? I was like, man, maybe watch a few episodes from season 1 and the end of season 2 with Jerome. But this season, and especially the episodes that Cameron Monaghan has been there as Jerome or Jeremiah, the best parts of the whole series. I guess that there's news. There's news with Gotham that they did renew for next year.
Oh, sweet.
I think that's what I heard.
Okay.
So I'm happy about that. Do you think David Mazouz returns as Bruce Wayne? Because I think not.
If he does, I hope he beefs up.
Here's the deal, though. I was watching this episode, and there was parts where he's standing just right next to Jeremiah. He looks so young compared to everyone else.
Yeah, he does look like a little baby.
I don't know if they have him standing on stuff or if he did get taller. Because he's 17 now, I think, or something like that. Because I know him and my son are around the same age.
Okay.
But, man, he still looks like a little baby compared to everybody else. And I feel like they can't legitimately go that much further with, a little kid actor. And I say little kid. He's not, and I don't mean any offense to him, but he's not. He doesn't look like he stacks up against everyone else.
Right.
So that's Gotham. We'll get into it a little more next week. Get caught up.
I'll watch it.
on the episodes.
I think that's the only episode I haven't watched yet. So
yeah. So good, really good stuff. Again, Cadell and Company. They are our friends out of Norman, Oklahoma. They're on Facebook at Cadell and Company. You can call them at 928-5026, 928-5026. If you are like us, you watch all of the home improvement shows and you have a home, this is the time where your home prices are going up. They can make all those ideas that you're getting watching those shows into a reality. And if you mention our podcast, you get 10% off the materials like the flooring, the wood floors, the tiles, the cabinets, the countertops, all that.
cool.
Cadell and Company. And again, give them a call, 405-928-5026. So before we get out of here, we got just a couple more things that I want to get to. I posted this on our Facebook page, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to read the responses real quick. But I posted a meme that says, make a song or name a song that makes you cry every time you hear it. And, of course, that's Jensen Ackles from Supernatural. So if you're a Supernatural fan, I wrote, Carry On Wayward Son, duh. Because if you watch Supernatural, every time they get to the season finale, they play Carry On Wayward Son. So you know it's the end of the season, and you might be like, wah. So here we go. Lakeisha Haywood said, Aerosmith, Don't Want to Miss a Thing. That's a pretty good.
That's
one.
pretty good, yeah. Was that for Armageddon?
Armageddon.
Okay.
Kayla Howerton Bartell said, Cole Swindle, You Should Be Here, or Boys to Men on Bended Knee. Anything Boys to Men.
Yeah.
We're the Nerds to Men. So we like that. Mike Ipong, you're homeboy. Boys to Men, One Sweet Day.
Oh, man. You know, one of my favorite.
Play it on your morning show on Wild and dedicate it to us.
That one Boys to Men, off of the Soul Food soundtrack. Was it Mama? Was it? Yeah. Boys to Men's Mama.
Mine, Boys to Men, is it Yesterday that they did?
Yesterday, yeah.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
All my troubles seem so far away.
This got real awkward.
You got to harmonize with me.
No, I'm good.
The cover of the Beatles song.
Yeah.
Mara Deering, she's one of the sweet people that work at Cadell and Company.
Oh, sweet.
She's his sister, Corey, my buddy, his sister-in-law, because it's all family-owned and operated down there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she works in the showroom. She said, Been Loving You Too Long, Otis Redding.
Ooh, I like that.
And Simple Man by Leonard Skinner. I don't know if I would say mine might be, if I had to pick a Leonard Skinner song, it would probably be Freebird. I like that one a lot. Joshua Hargrave, Greatest Love of All, Whitney Houston.
Okay.
So I think some people took it too as what makes you cry because emotionally it just gets you in the heart, or like you hate hearing it. So Ramiz says photograph Nickelback. I think he means it just hurts to hear it, but he might love it. Belinda Hargrave, George Jones, he stopped loving her today. Have you heard that one? He stopped loving her today.
No.
You're supposed to harmonize.
Okay. Next time.
Kathy Gabbert Smith, Cats in the Cradle. You know that one?
Maybe.
Cats in the Cradle and the Silver
Oh, yeah, I know.
Spoon. All right. I don't like that I'm having to sing all this to you. Rochelle Bellflower, Dust in the Wind. Will Harrison, Satisfied by Aranda. Yvonne Christian, Eric Clapton, Wonderful Tonight.
Who said Limp Bizkit Nookie?
That was John Deneen. He said, gets me every time. Right in the feels. Will also said Unforgiven 3, Metallica.
Okay.
Grant Van Winkle, Last Kiss by Pearl Jam. Good for you. I hate that song. I really do. I love Pearl Jam, but that song, ugh, I hate it. Doug Brown, anything by Rascal Flatts, it makes my ears bleed. Oh, and Luke Bryan too. So he meant he did.
Yeah.
Christina Elizabeth Christophilus, Stay by Sugarland. Don't Take the Girl, Tim McGraw. I Drive Your Truck, Cole Swindle. Luke Bryan, Drink a Beer. Kenny Chesney, There Goes My Life. Aerosmith, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing. And Avril, When You're Gone, like Avril Lavigne, I wonder?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Jenny Marie Harjo.
Yeah, A Song for Mama. That's
A
what
Song
it's
for
called.
Mama, Boys to Men. Dustin Hall, Blue October for my brother, Korn. My gift to you. So I don't know if Korn makes him sad or what's going on with that. Let's see. We got a few more. Should we read them all? I think we should just read them all. Here we go. Paul Taylor, any Yoko Ono song. So, again, that's hurting his ears. Lisa Waldrip Music, You're Not Alone. I don't know which one. They didn't say an artist there. Carla Grubbs, You're Not Alone. You are not alone.
Michael Jackson. I harmonize with you.
Yeah. Carla Grubbs, Mama by Garth Brooks. Heather Woods, Dance with My Father. I know that one. Does that one get you, though? Because you got a daughter.
You know what song that gets me?
I would play Dance with My Father, but I have sons, so that'd be weird. We don't go to any daddy-son dances.
I'm done with you. What's that one song? Butterfly Kisses.
Oh,
at
yeah.
the bedtime. That
Yeah.
man, that gets me every time.
Does it?
Every time.
Does it?
Well, little white flowers all up in her hair.
I'll let you read this one. Turkel. I don't know how to say his last name.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can even show that. I don't think we can. Yeah. That's a different language, and I don't even want to butcher it. Lincoln Jimenez. I hope I said that right. Never Seen a Man Cry, Scarface. Chuck Sheridan, Enya, Only Time. Emil Rahaminko, Who Knew by Pink. Pink's coming here.
Yep.
Ken Elliott, Spanish Johnny. Do you know when she's coming here? Jason Munt, Montgomery Gentry, Lucky Man. Dakira Cobb, The House That Built Me, Miranda Lambert. William Marshall, Amazing Grace, always. And Loretta Minor, Go Rest High on the Mountain, Vince Gill. So any that just make you cry every time you hear it.
Just like I said, I don't know the artist, but Butterfly Kisses.
Oh, yeah, Butterfly Kisses.
Yeah.
Butterfly Kisses. In the style of buttermilk biscuits.
Oh.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
No. I don't know. I don't think I have any that really... There's a few that I love to listen to.
What's that one song? See You Again?
Oh,
Daddy.
no. I know the one. What's that? Oh, man. It's called When I Get to Heaven. Oh, man. Here, let me look this up real quick because people deserve to hear
They got to know this?
Yeah, because, I mean, to be honest, it's probably one of those. I know we played it at, I think, my grandfather's funeral, but it's one of those songs you probably hear at a lot of funerals, and it's a country song. But it talks about, like, how he's going to see his grandfather again, and, you know, let's see. Man, this is a terrible segment because I came in not knowing
This guy over here.
Yeah. Or when I get to where I'm going. That's what it's called. Facebook Live, everybody.
What? Do you know? Do you know how to type?
I'm trying to do it too fast. Is that Brad Paisley? Yeah. Brad Paisley. That one will give you.
Really?
Yeah, that'll give you tears.
Okay, that's gonna play an ad.
Is it?
Yeah, ad 15 seconds.
Oh well, we won't mess with it then. But yeah, check that one out sometime, or I'll play it for you after the show.
Okay.
Because you'll be getting all choked up. All right, that is the end of the show. Believe it or not, Cameo.
What? It went by so quick.
We are going to, before, me and you are probably going to not come back onto the screen.
Okay.
But we are going to play his interview just a few minutes from now with Rob Paulsen, who was he was the voice of Raph and Donatello on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And then he was also Pinky, among other things, on Pinky and the Brain. And, of course, you guys have a great week, great rest of your weekend, and we'll leave you with the Nerds to Men comic relief.
The whole crowd band together and started chanting, "We want our money back. We want our money back." I said, "Oh, I snapped out of it. Good people of Detroit, hear me. Hear me now. You will never get your money back." I said, "I'm like Evil Knievel. I get paid for the attempt."
Hey, Rob, how you doing? This is Cameo.
I'm fine, Cameo. Thank you very much for taking the time to chat with me, my friend. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no, I appreciate it. I just got to say that you were the staple of my childhood because your voice is so recognizable. And now going back from actually reading up on you, it's just like, whoa, you've been in everything.
Well, I have, I've been pretty lucky, man. I think, let's just say, don't tell anybody, but I fooled them for 30-plus years. And it sure beats the hell out of working for a living. You know what I mean? It's just, it's a remarkably great way to make a living, to be able to get up every morning and go to work with people with whom you would choose to spend your free time, and you do something that you would essentially do for free, and then nice people pay you to do it. It's sort of won the lottery of life, and I do not take it for granted. I can promise you that.
Well, that's amazing. What made you decide to get in voice acting?
Actually, the opportunity. It wasn't anything that I had sort of predetermined. I came to L.A. Oh my God! Well, hey, I'm old. That's the way it goes. It beats the alternative, getting older, right? So I came to L.A. in 1978. Next year it'll be 40 years, and I came ostensibly to do live action, which I was doing. I was primarily a singer who became an actor, and spent a lot of time on the road doing live theater. Pardon me, and moved to L.A. and I was doing the typical TV, movie, commercial stuff. And one thing that young actors, young performers learn pretty quickly when you come to L.A. and New York is that there are a million average-looking white kids like me with SAG cards. And some of them are really talented and some of them are not, but they fit the suit and they get a job, and sometimes they're lucky, and it just happens. So in my case, I was going through the typical machinations of being a young actor, and I finally stumbled upon the opportunity to read for animation, and it wasn't like I had sought it out. I was a big fan of cartoons like pretty much everybody, and the opportunity was just too good to pass up, and I couldn't afford to pass it up. I just wanted to work. So one thing led to another, and when it became very clear that, as I've mentioned before, referencing the fact that there are many, many people who look like me out here, when that was no longer a concern and people hired me to do things with my voice that they would never consider before on camera, it was all about, oh man, this is the gig. They let me sing. They let me sing in character. They let me create my own stuff. And I could play bad guys, good guys, happy guys, sad guys, monsters, you name it. It was just like being in a giant sandbox. And then I got to work with many legends who have ultimately passed away, Jonathan Winters and Gene Foray and Mel Blanc. And, oh, my God, it was just forget it. So now I'm in a position where still at the other end of my life, nobody cares what I look like still. It's fantastic. Cameo is just incredible.
That's amazing. And I know you've played like a wide range of characters. One of my favorite shows growing up, we'll get into the Ninja Turtles a little bit later, but was Johnny Quest.
Oh, yeah. Mine too.
You played Haji. Did you get any backlash playing an East Indian
No,
character?
and I have to tell you, and things have shifted a bit. I think probably now I would, and honestly, I wouldn't do it now because the culture has shifted. Things have changed. Remember, well, I'm not. It's not my business how old you are, but when I was a kid, it wasn't too far removed from people who did live performance in blackface,
Right.
And that, of course, nowadays would be, if I can philosophize for a moment, history is about perspective, and entertainment is no different. It's about the perspective of what was happening at the time. It doesn't make it right or appropriate. It is about the way things were done, in those days. So now, in fact, long before now, I have had opportunities to read for Asian characters, Native American characters, and I pass on every one of them. And most of us do, because there are many, many terrific Native American, Korean, Asian, Japanese, obviously African American actors who are more than capable of doing whatever needs to be done. It's not about color or ethnicity. It's about talent.
Right.
However, when you have a specific ethnicity, then there are plenty of people to fill those in that who are of that particular native ancestry. So, when I was a kid, I know that Johnny Quest was a huge fan. I was a huge fan of that show in the original version, and Tim Matheson was the original voice of Johnny Quest, and I think there was a kid named Danny Bravo who was the voice of Haji. I believe he was a Canadian actor. I never was able to follow up, but when the second iteration came along, I jumped on it. It never occurred to me one way or the other, nor did it occur to the people hiring me that, gosh, we're hiring a white kid from Flint, Michigan to be the voice of an East Indian boy. And so I did my job. I had a blast, and et cetera. I believe then there was yet another version sometime in the 90s. And if I'm not mistaken, the gentleman who played Haji in that iteration was of, I believe, Southeast Asian, or rather Indian ancestry, or perhaps something, maybe Bangladeshi or something. I'm not really sure. But in my case, it was never an issue on either side of the equation. I have to say now the circumstances and the historical perspective has changed, and there are plenty of people to do whatever we need to do. And I just wouldn't do it. I would say, hey man, I know 4 or 5 guys that can do this, and let them do it.
Right.
It's their gig. Yeah. Same with natives. It's Native American stuff. So everything has changed. That's an excellent question. I'm so glad you brought that up, because I had no issue doing the job because it was offered to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it never occurred to me that there would be anything wrong with it one way or the other when I was, whatever it was, 30 years old, 25 years old. Now it's completely different. And the first thing that would come to my mind would be, I know this guy, or Dev Patel. Dev Patel is he's a movie star. Let him do it. That happens all the time.
Oh, that's amazing, man. I like your thought process on that too, because I know in Hollywood, I know it's hard. I know voice acting is hard to get into. Acting also, it's just a cutthroat deal, and if you have some people just jump on it, whether they are that nationality or not.
Yeah.
And so, I totally understand, but your philosophy on it was great. I really appreciate that.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate your appreciation. It really, and I have to say, I don't believe that there are many actors who would be much different out here. I think that unless it's very specific and they want, Robert Downey did a movie in which he played a black guy, but he's Robert Downey Jr. and it's a movie. It's a different thing. With respect to this, I would venture to say that pretty much anybody who talked to who's in my position, Billy West or John DiMaggio or Maurice LaMarche or Frank Welker, I believe that virtually all of us would defer to the actors of the appropriate ethnic background. I just think that's the way it should be, and they're available, and times have changed.
I got you.
Yeah.
I also know that you battled cancer.
I did.
How's that going now?
Well, the cancer took a hell of a hit because it's gone.
Awesome. Well, congrats on that.
Thank you. Yeah, I beat the living daylights. I shouldn't say me, my doctors, and a whole pile of radiation and a whole pile of chemotherapy. But no, man, I don't wish it on anybody. And unfortunately, it's pretty ubiquitous. Everybody knows somebody who has either passed or is battling or will battle cancer. It's just so many ridiculous forms of the disease. In my case, it was throat cancer, which was a bit of a left-hander because of what I do for a living. But honestly, Cam, when I was diagnosed almost 2 years ago, I had a wonderful career and a full life. And even if they had said, "Look, you better get your stuff together because you're done," I got nothing to complain about. Zero.
Yeah.
But the reason that I think I was able to, with the help of my wife and my son and terrific doctors, deal with it was up to this point, I have had so many wonderful examples of courage, often about cancer, other really just despicable diseases, primarily through the eyes of children, because as a result of Ninja Turtles especially, I and the other guys who were the original cast, we talked to, hundreds of kids around the world over the years, and often we go visit them in person and stuff like that and chat. It was a great fun. But by the time that I had been diagnosed at my age, I kept in touch with many families whose children had died of cancer, and I was able to see how they dealt with it, and it was utterly heroic. And there are people who do it every single day.
Yeah.
And they deal with things that are ultimately going to kill whomever it is they're taking care of. Whether it's a grandma or their 8-year-old, and it's impossible to even comprehend what those people go through. In my case, it was made clear that I was probably going to be fine, but the treatment was going to really kick my ass. They said, "You're going to be down it's going to really be gnarly," and it was, but it was not like losing your 8-year-old.
Right.
I can't even comprehend that. So in my case, I had great teachers who taught me how to suck it up and take a punch. And now I'm back to work, and people like you are nice enough to chat with me. And like I said earlier in the conversation, I'm still fooling them, so don't tell nobody.
Well, I'm like geeking out right now because
Cool.
I am a big fan of the Ninja Turtles. I watched the first series of it all when you played Raphael, and even till now, like I'm kind of sad. Well, not kind of sad. I am very sad that the 2012 series is done and over with.
Wasn't that good?
It was so good.
I'm so proud of that show, man. It honest to God, man, every time we go in and do some post-production, when we get, we knew the scripts were good because we record them, but the scripts are done first, and then a few months later, after all the animation is done, you come in and do post-production and tweak things. And man, all of us, Seth Green and Sean Astin, Greg Sives, and myself, we would constantly stop and just look at each other and think, "This is like a movie." Every half hour, it is so good. I'm so proud of that version. It's fantastic.
And so, which turtle now after the 2012 series was done? What was your favorite turtle to play? Was it Raph or Donatello?
Well, that is an impossible question to answer. The quick answer is yes, because I obviously getting a chance to be part of what has become Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from a clean sheet of paper, that's a really incredible gift to see that what it's become from the time we started recording them 30 years ago. On the other hand, again, back to what we were discussing earlier about no one cares what I look like. 25 years later, I got hired to be another turtle, a different turtle, on a newer show made by people who grew up watching the original one. They're probably about your age. And Kevin Eastman, one of the creators, makes the argument that it's pretty difficult to find a purer version of the show than the one that's just coming to an end now, because the people who produced it are turtle fanatics, and they totally get the mythology and the ethos and the connections between all the characters. So they both have their really amazing stories as to how they came about, and I'm the lucky beneficiary of 2 rides in the turtle van.
Yeah.
It's and it's arguably as big now as it's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge still. And then this one came to an end, and the nice folks at Nickelodeon came to me earlier this year, and they said, well, your version's ending, but we still own the franchise, and they're going to do a 2D version of the show next year, which is very similar to, in terms of the look, like the original one you grew up with, the 2D cartoon, and not the CGI version. And they asked me to direct it. So now matter of fact, today, this afternoon, 1 o'clock, 1 to 6 today, we're doing a couple episodes of Turtles, and I'm now the director of the show, so the voice director. So this is essentially my 3rd ride in the turtle van. I'm one lucky turtle, that's for sure.
That is amazing. And I want to get into it's called Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to get into that here in a second. But was it hard transferring from a different turtle, from like the hot-headed Raph to the book smart Donatello?
No, it's my job, and that's part of what we do. The great, like we were mentioning earlier about being voice actors, is that you do a lot of thinking on your feet, and they throw stuff at you, and you come up with stuff on the spur of the moment. In this case, that wasn't how it worked, because we auditioned a little bit, and we figured out what they wanted from Donatello, and it fit in really well with the other 3 guys, at least according to the producers, and here we are. But no, it wasn't. It's my job to be able to go in and break down the script and come up with interesting choices that make the characters thoughtful and fleshed out, so to speak. So it wasn't difficult. It was a little bit odd for the first couple of months, that often the director will say, okay, Donnie, we need you to do blah, 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 or Raph, we need you. And so, because they'll talk to you in your character names.
Mm-hmm.
And so for the first few months, when Andrea Romano, our director, would say, Raphael, can we get another? And I would say, I'm like, it was like a Pavlovian response. When I heard Raphael, I thought it was me, to whom they were speaking,
Yeah.
But that was it. Other than that, no, not a problem at all.
Okay, awesome. Well, is in terms of the technology, because technology has evolved from the 80s to the 2000s. Has recording sessions changed much since then?
Yes, and that is the one thing that has really changed a lot. People ask me often what has changed, and my process and how my process hasn't changed. How I get work has changed, because we used to audition in front of producers all the time in a booth with people on the other side of the glass who are there to make decisions. And now I pretty much audition by myself, either at home or my agent's office. And I much prefer the old way. I much prefer having people to bounce ideas off of, but that's just the way technology has taken it, because it's so much less expensive than hiring a casting studio to do it. So their agents will send out the audition specs to actors, and they generally do it from home. Now, but the technology, save for the microphones, I'm sure they're better, but the technology in terms of recording and editing, and that's just utterly different. It used to be very simply big tape recorders and lots of tape around people's necks, and they'd be splicing tape and putting it together, and the editing was just like in film, just endless, and very, very hands-on, literally, where you would be touching the film and or the tape. Now everything is obviously all digital. It still requires a great deal of work, but it's all done on the screen and sliding stuff around. And yeah, it's a pretty. I've been around a long time and seen, especially on that end of the equation, incredible changes, and it will only get different. I mean, I'm sure they'll start to take samples of actors and do sort of an artificial intelligence voice
Right.
acting. I mean, it'll happen.
Yeah.
It will happen. Hopefully I'll try to keep a little ahead of it and think a little quicker than the machine, but sooner or later they'll probably find a way to replace me with somebody who costs a whole lot less money and is a much better actor.
Well, I hope not, because
Me too.
because I really enjoy your voice acting and everything that you've done. Which brings me to my next question. What is the most challenging character voice that you've done over the years?
I think probably The Mask. I was the animated version of The Mask for a couple of years on CBS a while ago, and I got to be Jim Carrey for a whole lot less money. But that was probably the most challenging, because every time that Stanley Ipkiss puts the mask on, of course, he changes into some different character, which is dictated by the circumstances in which Stanley finds himself.
Right.
So that was a lot of improv and a lot of banging off the walls, and great fun. Challenging only to the extent that it was my job was to keep it interesting and try not to repeat myself and using different characters, and so that was a challenge, because when you look at the movie, it's 2 hours of Stanley Ipkiss and the Mask in a feature. But when you do an animated series, if you're fortunate enough for it to get picked up, it goes for a couple of years.
Right.
And so if you do 26 or 39 half hours, then you're doing a lot more of that character than was just done in a 2-hour movie.
Right.
So it was about trying to be interesting. And the best part of that whole experience, apart from just working with the wonderful people, which is always the best part of it, was that I got to sing the opening theme song. That's a killer, a killer arrangement, a killer jazz arrangement written and composed by Keith Baxter and Christopher Neil Nelson. And, man, I did the demo, and I remember at the time that once they heard the demo, Judy Price, who was the head of CBS animated programming, called me and said, "Why don't you just sing it?" And I said, "Well, that's a great idea, but I thought you were going to hire, like a famous singer." And she said, "Well, you're the character. Why don't you sing the demo?" And I was very grateful they let me do that. That's, as I said, I was a singer first, and I still like doing that the most, which is why I really enjoyed Animaniacs and all that music there. But that theme song from The Mask, opening title, is just a killer 1-minute song. And so that was really wonderful.
Oh, that's awesome. So let's get into the rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
So you said that you were going to be the voice director. What role will that entail for you?
Well, that means that I sit on the opposite side of the glass from which I'm used to, and which I'm used rather, and I help direct and guide the actors who are doing what I've been doing for 30 years. And so I know that franchise real well. I know the interrelationships between the characters, and Nickelodeon thought I might be a good guy to help facilitate, what the producers are looking for. So we've been doing it now for a few months, and I really enjoy it much more than I thought. I loved the challenge, and I really wanted the opportunity, and I was very flattered when they gave it to me. But I didn't realize how much I would enjoy working with young actors. And the really wonderful thing is that I'm in a good spot now, because I'm old enough to have generated enough credibility among actors or fans, so that the young men and women who come in to work with me, once they find out who I am, they kind of go, "Oh, well, I love Pinky and the Brain, or I love Ninja Turtles, or I love Jimmy Neutron, or I love The Tick or The Mask." All these shows, I'm happy to listen to what this guy has to say. And so I really appreciate that aspect of it. But then I'm young enough to travel around the country and the world performing live music and meeting people at conventions and such, and it's a really good position to be in. But in terms of the of the directing aspect of it, it's just a gas working with young people who are so talented, and they've got all this incredible opportunity now, because animation has really never been bigger. And so you have lots of celebrities and lots of young actors, as I was, who are coming up and just really love being involved in huge franchises like Ninja Turtles, and it's great being a part of it. It's just great watching all these wonderful actors blossom in another aspect of their career that they may not have thought was necessarily so viable. And it turns out that they're really, 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 really good. and just like me, they're going, "Oh my God, this is fantastic! Nobody cares if I'm a black guy or a white guy, or an Asian woman or an Hispanic woman. It's just great." And so I'm grateful to be part of it.
Well, that's cool. What can we expect from this this new series?
Well, you can expect a lot of humor. I think I believe it's a lighter version of the show. It's more back to a humorous version. The one that we just got through with is probably my favorite version to date in terms of the overall show, because it had a lot of highs and lows. It had some pretty intense bad guys, and it had some serious romance between Donnie and April, with Casey Jones thrown into the mix, which is another cool aspect of this last iteration. Mm-hmm. This one's, I think, a lighter, more humorous version, and it is pretty funny. The actors that they have to do it are quite good. Ben Schwartz is just a wonderful actor who plays Leonardo, and he is a regular on Parks and Rec. Yep. Fantastic writer. Omar Miller is a regular on Ballers and is a terrific actor and a very funny guy. Brendan and Josh. Brendan is Michelangelo. Josh plays Donnie. Josh is a regular on what's the show up north?
I can't think of it.
It's the one where they up north in California where they
Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley, yeah. And they're just Josh Brenner. Just really, they're all talented, so good and funny people innately. And so this show is a little bit, I think, a lighter version. And we'll see how it goes. You know, I'm grateful to be part of it, but I also know that it's a pretty high bar. This last version of the show has garnered millions and millions of fans who are not just kids. They're people who are often 8 or 9 years old and 28 and 29 years old, because they grew up with the original show, and now they just fell in love with this last version. So we have a pretty high bar to reach, and I'm really, really grateful for the challenge, and we'll keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully people will dig it.
Well, that's awesome. And I know a little bit earlier you were talking about you going into concerts and stuff.
Right.
The Animaniacs in concert. I'm so excited. What can we expect from the show?
Well, you can expect a whole bunch of laughs and great music and great nostalgia. Having been involved with that show, which was, if Ninja Turtles changed my career, and Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain changed my life. That was a remarkable experience, and it has held up. Both those shows have held up beautifully. But now, as a result of the kindness of Warner Brothers Licensing, Randy Rogel, who wrote most of that, United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, and all that.
Yes.
He wrote all that music, and I was fortunate enough to perform it. We now are able to take that music and the cartoons on the road and perform them live for people, which is what we'll be doing Friday night in your beautiful city at the Tower Theater down there in OKC. And it's a 2-hour show with many, many songs that you're familiar with. Some you're not. You're going to hear songs that made it, songs that didn't make it, the stories behind the songs, many other stories about the show. And we always do a Q&A at the end of every show, so people can ask all of us, or both of us, questions. They can ask me about Turtles, Animaniacs, Pinky and the Brain, Jimmy Neutron, The Tick, Bump in the Night, The Mask, Gummy Bears, Goof Troop, all the stuff I've worked on. And Rick and Morty, unfortunately, I'm still working every day. So it's a really, I think it ticks a lot of boxes. It's very, very entertaining, but it also allows people to go away with a lot of cool information and get stuff signed, and it's just a blast. We have a really great time, and the cool thing is we're the only ones who can do it. We can. We've got the blessings of Warner Brothers, and we're the people who wrote it and produced it, and we can still do it. And I argue that we can do it even better because we know it so well now that it's like falling off a log. And it's the only people who have more fun than the audience are Randy and me. It's absolute gas. So if people are remotely interested in animation and happen to like Animaniacs in particular, come on out, because that it's a pretty remarkable evening. And everybody does nothing but laugh and smile for a couple hours. It's a gas.
Well, that's amazing because I'm so excited. I will be there this Friday.
Yay!
So
Cool, man. I can't wait to see you.
I can't wait to see you, man. Just geeking out right now. Just wow.
Thanks.
Before I let you go, though, so you could get to work on the Ninja Turtles, which I don't want you to miss out on because I really love the show. So, I mean,
thank you.
You got to do that.
Okay.
But my daughter, she loves the Ninja Turtles as well.
Oh, yay.
But could you tell her something about, knowledge is power in the Donatello voice?
Oh, sure. What's her name?
Chloe.
Chloe, okay. Hey, Chloe. Chloe, this is Donatello, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Firstly, let me tell you something, sweetie. Now, I talked to your daddy, and he said that maybe someday you could come live with us in the sewer. I don't want you to worry about it. It does get a little stinky down there, but by the time that you're old enough to come live with us or maybe come visit us, we'll have it cleaned up. But in the meantime, you have got to do one thing that is so important, and that is learn to read and learn to listen to your teachers, listen to your mom and dad, and listen to the people who can help you gain a lot of knowledge. Because you know what? The most powerful thing in the world is knowledge. So whenever you find yourself thinking, oh, man, I don't need to learn this, just remember, knowledge is power. And then maybe you could be the fifth turtle. How about that? It would be Donatello, Michelangelo, Raphael, Leonardo, and Chloe, the fifth turtle. Talk about a groundbreaker. You'd be the first female turtle, only because knowledge is power, and, of course, you've got fabulous ninja skills. Anyway, thanks for listening. Turtle Power.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rob. That was amazing.
My pleasure, buddy.
I'm blushing right now. I feel like you were talking to me.
Oh, listen, man. It was such a pleasure chatting with you, Cammy. I really thank you for taking so much time with me, man. That was very cool. I never take for granted the opportunity to speak with somebody, but you have given me so much time out of your day, and it's very, very kind of you, buddy.
Oh, no, you have given me so much of your time. I was just trying to keep you as long as I can, but I know you got to work.
All right, well, listen, buddy, it's a pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you and hopefully Chloe and anybody else on Friday night. We'll have a blast, buddy. Thanks a lot, man, and I'll see you in a couple of days.
Okay, sounds awesome. Have a good
one.
one.
Buddy. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.